The first time he realized how tired he truly was came on a Tuesday morning, standing in the parking lot before sunrise, gripping a lukewarm cup of coffee and staring at the office building like it was an enemy he had to face one more time. His shoulders ached, his eyes burned, and his phone buzzed with a reminder from the school about his daughter's unpaid field trip fee. He exhaled slowly, steadying himself, because this was his life now. Single dad, no backup, no safety net, just responsibility stacked on responsibility. And a boss who seemed determined to crush whatever hope he had left. He had taken the job because he needed stability. Health insurance, a regular paycheck, something predictable after his wife passed away, and the world suddenly felt like it had lost its rules. He told himself he could handle anything for his daughter. Late nights, early mornings, even a boss who was infamous in the office for being cold, demanding, and impossible to please. Everyone warned him about her on his first day. They said she never smiled, never apologized, and never softened for anyone. He believed them. He lived that truth every single day. She ran the department like a battlefield. Deadlines were sacred. Mistakes were unacceptable. Emotions had no place in meetings. When she walked through the office, conversations died. Chairs straightened, spines stiffened. And yet, beneath her sharp professionalism, there was something else. Something restless. Something tightly controlled. He noticed it in the way her jaw clenched when plans changed, or how she lingered alone after meetings, staring out the window like she was holding something back. For him, there was no room to think about her beyond survival. He arrived early after dropping his daughter at school, left late after picking her up from his neighbor, and spent nights helping with homework while reheating leftovers. Sleep came in fragments. His patience wore thin. Still, he showed up every day determined not to fail, because failure wasn't an option when a small child depended on you. The tension between them built slowly, like a storm you sense long before the rain falls. She pushed him harder than anyone else, assigning him projects that stretched his limits, criticizing his work in front of others, questioning his commitment when he had to leave early for his daughter's school events. Each time, he swallowed his pride. Each time, he reminded himself why he was there. But inside, resentment simmered. He felt invisible as a human being, reduced to output and efficiency. One evening, everything finally cracked. The office was nearly empty, lights dimmed, the hum of machines echoing through the quiet space. He had just received another message from the school about his daughter feeling sick, and panic rose in his chest. He knocked on her office door, already exhausted, already stretched too thin. The conversation escalated quickly. Years of pressure poured out in raised voices and sharp words. Accusations flew. She questioned his priorities. He questioned her humanity. The air between them felt electric, charged with anger and something neither of them wanted to name. He told her he was doing his best, that he was a single father trying to hold everything together, that he wasn't lazy or careless or uncommitted. He was drowning. And for the first time, her composure cracked. Her eyes darkened, her breath hitched, and the mask she wore so perfectly slipped in a moment that felt unreal. Impulsive and entirely unplanned, she stepped forward and kissed him. Time seemed to stop. The argument dissolved into stunned silence. His mind raced, confusion and disbelief colliding with exhaustion and raw emotion. Her expression shifted instantly, shock replacing intensity, as if she had crossed a line she never meant to approach. Without another word, she turned away, leaving him standing there alone, heart pounding, wondering if any of it had really happened. The days that followed were unbearable. Awkwardness filled the space between them like thick fog. Meetings became tense. Emails became formal to the point of coldness. He questioned everything. Had he misread her? Had stress finally broken them both? He tried to focus on his work, on his daughter, on anything that would quiet his thoughts. But the moment replayed in his mind again and again. What he didn't know was that the kiss had shattered something inside her too. She had built her life on control, on discipline, on walls so high no one could see over them. Years earlier, she had lost someone she loved deeply, and with that loss came a vow to never let emotions weaken her again. She buried herself in work, climbed her way to the top, and convinced herself that being feared was safer than being known. But in that argument, something about his honesty, his exhaustion, his quiet strength cracked her armor. Slowly, subtly, things began to change. Her tone softened, just slightly. She stopped criticizing him in public. She asked questions instead of making assumptions. When she noticed him looking distracted one afternoon, she didn't scold him. She asked if his daughter was okay. The shift was small, but undeniable. The office noticed. He noticed. One evening, she asked him to stay back after work. Not for a reprimand, not for a deadline. She apologized. The words sounded unfamiliar, fragile, but sincere. She admitted she had crossed a line, that she had been unfair, that she didn't know how to balance leadership with empathy. He listened, guarded but open, because he understood what it meant to be broken and afraid. They began to talk more, not as boss and employee, but as two people carrying invisible weight. She learned about his wife, about the nights he stayed awake listening to his daughter breathe, afraid of losing the only family he had left. He learned about her past, about the loss that turned her heart into a fortress. Understanding replaced tension, respect replaced resentment. The transformation wasn't instant. It was messy, slow, and filled with setbacks. There were moments of doubt, moments when old habits resurfaced. But there was also growth. She became a better leader, not because she lost authority, but because she gained compassion. He became more confident, not because his life got easier, but because he felt seen. The office changed to morale improved. Conversations returned. Laughter found its way back into the hallways. And at home, his daughter noticed the difference in her father. He smiled more. He laughed again. The weight on his shoulders felt lighter, even when the days were hard. What started as conflict became connection. What felt like an impossible situation became a turning point for both of them. The kiss that once symbolized confusion became a catalyst for healing, growth, and redemption. Not because it sparked romance, but because it forced truth into the open dot in the end. The story wasn't about a boss or an employee. It was about two broken people learning that strength doesn't come from being unfeeling, and responsibility doesn't mean suffering in silence. It was about kindness changing the course of lives when least expected. And if this story moved you, reminded you of your own struggles, or gave you hope that even the hardest situations can change, remember this. Kindness talks. It heals. It transforms. It saves. If you believe in stories that inspire the heart and lift the spirit, like this video, subscribe to the channel Kindness Talks. And stay with us for more stories that remind us we're never as alone as we think.